What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chaotic Minds. As always, it is Winged.
And the midget.
And we, the last 2 weeks, have been doing two things. One, researching this whole, theme of the episode. And two, doing our best broom impression.
What?
We were sweepy.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's a bad joke. I know. You know what? I don't care. I like it. I use it a lot.
It's not a bad joke. It's a dad joke.
I mean, it's a dumb joke. It is a dumb joke. I'm not going to deny that. But I like it. I like using it.
Yes, we needed to get some sleep, and just kind of.
Well, we also had our middle son's birthday.
19.
Yep. So that was last Saturday?
The 19th. Yeah.
Was that last Saturday? I don't know.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And then we're run down, yo.
Yeah.
But happy Halloween. I know it's not coming out on Halloween, but on the off chance that something that we're trying to plan does not come into fruition, this is our spoopy Halloween episode.
Spoopy.
The last couple of years, we've done like haunted stories, like ghost stories.
Haunted locations.
Yeah, haunted location. That's actually, haunted locations from
Stanley Hotel.
Home, wherever we called home. Last year, I think we did conspiracy theories.
Yes.
This year, we're doing something that also starts with a C. And we've been hyping it up for the last couple episodes since we announced that we were doing this episode. We are going to be talking about cryptids.
Yes.
Because some of them are freaky.
Some are just weird.
Some of them are cool. Some of them are dumb. Like, one of mine is dumb. I'm not going to deny it.
One of mine is dumb too, but it also kind of ties back, once they tell the story, it kind of ties back to Jester and the Traveler. So it's kind of funny.
Critical Role for those that don't know.
Yeah.
But no, like one of mine is dumb. It's from back home. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's...
Let's just get into it so they can judge for themselves.
It is funny, but it's dumb.
Yeah. Let's get into it so we can have them judge for themselves.
Okay. Well, then, since you want to jump right into it, you may go first.
So, the quote-unquote local one that I chose is pretty well known here in Colorado, the state we live in.
Currently.
And this one is dumb. It's also hysterical and is what ties into Critical Role.
I love dumb cryptids. Like cryptids that have there is no point to them at all. They, for some reason, they always crack me up.
Yeah. So I'll kind of go to the original story behind the Tommyknockers, and then I'll get into the things that they do. So they're called Tommyknockers of the Western Mines. It says mining is an ancient profession, along with the back-breaking work and dangers of working in dark underground tunnels, century-old superstitions, the most notable being that of the Tommyknockers. These impish gnome-like men are the Cornish equivalent of Irish leprechauns and English brownies. Germans call them Bergeister, meaning mountain ghosts or little miners. The Cornish believed these little men were the souls of the Jews who crucified Christ, were sent by the Romans to work as slaves in the tin mines. This belief was so strong that the Tommyknockers were allegedly never heard on Saturdays, nor at times of Jewish festivals. This is the description of it. It says, they are about 2 feet tall and often described as greenish in color. They look like men and are most often spied wearing traditional miner's outfit. Living beneath the ground, they have been known to have committed both good and bad deeds through the centuries. often playing practical jokes and committing random acts of mischief such as stealing unattended tools and food. The Tommyknockers were first heard of in the U.S. in Colorado, where the Cornish miners worked in the western Pennsylvania coal mines in the 1820s. They had come here. When the California gold rush began, the miners kind of split out through different states. Attempting to recruit more miners, managers often approached the immigrants asking if they had relatives back in England who might come work at the mines. The Cornish miners would reply something like this: well, me, my cousin Jack over in Cornwall would come. All you have to do is pay for the boat ride. And then basically they like to take things, place things. They've been known to knock on the walls of the mines to warn the miners of dangerous parts of the mine. Like, they'll knock on a specific part of the mine and say, hey, if you go this way, it's going to collapse.
Oh.
So that's part of the good deeds that they did. Other times they would leave things in specific patterns, most notably phallic shaped.
They were doing giant penises.
They were known to draw dicks in the dirt. They were known to steal tools and create statues in the shape of dicks. That's why I said it reminded me a lot of what Jester did in Critical Role.
Yeah.
They, in some mines where the Tommyknockers' presence was known to be overwhelmingly malevolent, the mines were forced to close because the men's fear of the spirits. When the mines played out, the legend continued. So, yeah, they would they would do good and bad things that some people, like, if they were kind and, like, listened to the Tommyknockers, they were rewarded with, like, finding more, like, gold or finding diamonds, like,
finding stuff that otherwise
valuable stuff
they wouldn't have found.
Yes. But if you are considered to be evil in their minds, they will take your tools, they'll sabotage things. Some have been known to collapse mines and trap specific people and only allow certain people to escape. And there was one story that I heard growing up about Tommyknockers that had trapped a man that had beat his wife and his children and basically locked them in the house. They weren't allowed to leave the house. Basically a very abusive dick. And he had a group of like 5 men, and it stayed good, and they were on their way out for the day. And he, of course, had left, he couldn't find a tool that was on his belt because they had taken it. And so he went back to search for it, and his men got about 45, 50 feet ahead of him, and it collapsed right between them. The other 4 men escaped, and he suffocated.
Yeah.
Like, he died a slow, painful death.
Yep.
He was quite literally locked in a tomb. They couldn't get to him for 3 days. And, like, as soon as they were able to get him out, they couldn't understand why there was claw marks on him. They're like, it's pretty brutal. They're like house gnomes. Like, if you're an evil person, they're gonna fuck your shit up. But if you're a good person, they're just gonna, like, practical jokes and move things, hide your keys, you know.
Like the one that we have.
Yeah. He likes to play with stuff and move stuff. But yeah, that's the stupid one from Colorado that I remember growing up, and
well,
it's just
not really, So yours isn't really stupid, so to speak. I mean, it's more like
It's goofy.
It's a warning. Like the
Yeah.
world is watching. If you do good, good things will happen. Jokes may happen, but good things will happen. If
Yeah.
you do bad, regardless of where you're at, someone's going to get you.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's I don't know. It's one of those things where if you're it shows you that if you're a good person, these spirits are kinder to you, and if you're just a dick, they will be those malevolent spirits and fuck you up and fuck your shit up.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well,
That's the one from here.
I have one that'll beat yours when it comes to
The stupidity scale.
stupidity.
Okay.
So, a couple months ago, I was watching one of my favorite streamers, and they were talking about, like, they are currently designing a game that is a kind of like a dating simulator.
Okay.
But instead of it being like normal people, they are like cryptids, like the New Jersey Devil, the Jackalope, Mothman,
Okay.
but it's female, so it's Mothman.
Yeah.
Loch Ness, stuff like that, and they're drawing out everything by hand. Granted, it's in a digital forms. That way, you can watch them draw, but like they are designing the characters that you would end up like potentially dating, right?
Okay.
And they asked their chat, like, what are some cryptids from around your area or where you grew up at? And that got me curious because as far as I know, where I grew up, Pennsylvania, didn't really have a lot going on. That is until I went ahead and I looked up Pennsylvania cryptid. And here's what it pulled up. Pennsylvania's cryptid is known as the Squonk. Squonk.
The fuck?
The Squonk. The Squonk is a mythical creature that is reputed to live in the hemlock forests of northern Pennsylvania in the United States. Johnstown, Pennsylvania, celebrates the Squonk at the Squonkapalooza in August.
They have a festival for
Yes.
this dumb thing?
Yes.
Okay.
I've never been to it, but now that I know about it, I'm kind of interested.
No.
So the origins of this thing is the first written account of the Squonk was from the 1910 book Fearsome Creatures of the Lumberwoods. His provenance was attested with the next written iteration in the 1939 book Fearsome Critters. This book suggested that the creatures had migrated from deserts to swamps to finally settle in Pennsylvania. As logging camps were continuously moving in the early 20th century, this could explain their migration to Pennsylvania. Unlike many mythological creatures, the supposed physical characteristics of the Squonk remain unchanged from the original written account, which states, "The Squonk is of a very retiring disposition, generally traveling around twilight and dusk. Because of its misfitting skin, which is covered with warts and moles, it is always unhappy. Hunters who are good at tracking are able to follow the Squonk by its tear-stained trail, for the animal weeps constantly. When cornered and escape seems impossible, or when surprised and frightened, it may even dissolve itself into tears." The author of the book Fearsome Creatures of the Lumberwoods is William T. Cox. Later retellings
You said Cox.
included that squonks were slowest on moonlit nights as they try to avoid seeing their own ugly appearance in any illuminated bodies of water. In addition to warts and moles, the creatures were given webbed toes on their left feet. The given quote-unquote species taxonomy of the creature, Lacrimcorpus dissolvinus, is made up of the Latin tear, body, and dissolve. These refer to its supposed ability to dissolve when captured. In scientific literature, it says some substances are stable in solution or some other wild form, but cannot be isolated or captured without actually catalyzing their own polymerization or decomposition, dissolving in their own tears. For example, a molecule containing carbolic acid moiety.
Carbolic acid?
Yeah, carbolic acid moiety, Moiety, and an acid label moiety might be stable when initially prepared as the salt barium phenethanate, but unstable as the free acid phenethic acid. These have been named chemical squonks. There's also a song. It's Any Major Dude Will Tell You. First released by Steely Dan on their 1974 album Pretzel Logic, has the line, "Have you seen a squonk's tears? Well, look at mine." And then the progressive rock band Genesis has a song written by the bassist,
which is Phil Collins' band,
about this creature simply named Squonk on their 1976 album A Trick of the Tail.
Okay.
It's dumb.
So what does this thing do?
Walk around at night crying.
Good Lord.
That's literally all it does. And
I'd
if
be
you're
like,
able to
"Shut the
track
fuck
it,
up."
if you're able to track it and like corner it, it will dissolve itself and disappear. Or just dissolve itself and, that's the end of that particular squonk.
That's still so weird.
It cries because it's so ugly.
I would cry too.
I mean, like the picture of this thing from the, I think it's the 1910 book. Yeah, from the 1910 book. Like, it looks like...
I saw a picture of it earlier.
Looks like you take a croissant roll, put legs on it, and like just let it start walking. Like,
that's weird.
It's so dumb. It doesn't do anything else. It doesn't harm nobody. It doesn't chase nobody. It's not like one of those creatures of like ill, fortune or ill whatever, like the Grimm or Mothman or something like that. Okay. Like, it doesn't do any of that. All it does throughout the time that it's awake till it goes back to bed is walk around the woods at night crying because it's ugly. And if it catches sight of itself in a reflective surface on a moonlit night, it'll cry harder. Like,
so weird.
Can you imagine being this fucking thing and just doing nothing? You hear about the New Jersey Devil, or you hear about like Mothman, or you hear about like some of these really cool like cryptids like Bigfoot and whatnot. And here you are, this little four-legged croissant roll covered in warts and shit. And all you do is walk around and cry.
Dude.
Like, really? Oh. But I looked this up. And I'm like,
wrong.
I was like, there ain't no way this is Pennsylvania's cryptid. And sure as shit, it is. And I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
But it goes back to like the ever like moving population of loggers and like miners, stuff like that, where I guess they didn't have anything else better to do than to sit around a campfire
Apparently.
and talk about this croissant roll that's just crying throughout the woods.
Could you imagine the campfire ghost stories? And now we have this monster called a Squonk that walks around the woods and cries and cries. Well, what else does it do? Is it scary? No.
It cries.
It just looks like a wet croissant roll that cries because he's ugly.
Hey, that sounds like you, Bob. Fuck
Right?
you.
Your mother. What?
But no, like this is the cryptid for Pennsylvania, and I'm just like, we have a few things going for Pennsylvania. We have the Poconos, right?
Yeah.
Especially the Pocono Raceway for NASCAR. We got Hershey, where the chocolate comes from. We have Pittsburgh, and the Pirates and the Steelers and the Penguins, right?
Yeah.
For football, we have Philly, which is the Eagles and the Flyers. Really
shitty foggy mountains that truck drivers run you off the road.
No, that's West Virginia. The Phillies, for baseball, and then Philadelphia is also like Independence Hall, the Liberty Bell.
They have one of the coolest mascots too.
Yeah.
The Fanatic.
Yeah. And then fourth on the list we have the Squonk. Like even the name is dumb.
Dude, he hit every branch of the ugly tree on the way down. And then climbed back up and did it again.
No. It wasn't the tree that he fell out of. He rolled down the damn mountains. He rolled down the damn Appalachians and hit everything on the way down.
I'm talking about falling out the ugly tree and hitting every branch on the way down and then rolled down the hill.
No. He fell off Ugly Mountain. He got stuck in the ugly tree, fell out of the ugly tree, and kept rolling down the mountain.
Right. Rolled through a bakery at some point. Rolled through some croissant dough and baked himself and then still came out ugly.
Yeah. Like, I feel so bad. Like, here's my personal belief.
Dumbest story.
Here's my personal belief, okay? I personally believe that there is some form of truth in cryptids and in, like,
ghost stories.
These mythological tales of, like, fae and, vampires and werewolves
sprites
and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I believe that there is some inherent truth in all of it, whether it's all true or there are just bits and pieces because every continent has its own version.
And it's passed down through generations.
So, like, trying to find where everything started from.
Urban legends, they all have some part of truth.
And trying to find out where it all started from is downright impossible.
Like the Tommyknockers, they started in England, and like during the gold rush of California, they started migrating west.
But why did it start in England?
That's what I'm saying. It's like there's no answers to that.
So somewhere in all of the mythos is a kernel of truth. And I personally, now this is just me, and you can say what you will, but I personally believe I personally believe that some of these mythos that we tell, even to this day, are or have some form of truth in them. That's why I like...
And they're fun to tell.
I like talking about, like, the Squonk. Because what type of fucking acid trip do you have to be on?
You have to be drunk.
Right? But what started that? Like, did they just see something?
Somebody spiked your drink with Liquid X.
Like, did they see something that they're just like, we can't explain it. It's a Squonk. You know?
Yeah, it's like the jackalope. They couldn't figure out a name for it, and they're like,
It's a jackrabbit and an antelope. But antelopes don't have antlers. They have horns.
Exactly.
So why isn't a jack a deer?
Or jack elk.
Or jackoose?
Jack reindeer.
You know. But,
yeah.
like...
It has some form of truth in it. And it's not that they're not all scary. They're not all malevolent. They're not all bad. They're not all good. It's kind of a mixture of them all. And what makes each of them unique is the way the story is told through generations. Because I can guarantee you, Tommyknockers and even the Squonk.
Oh no, the Squonk. Squonk is one of the only cryptids that has not changed since people first started reading about it in 1910.
Descriptions of them, from the descriptions of them, what people saw them doing, those things have changed a lot. Since they've come.
Correction. The only difference that has changed is in 1939 they were said to have only their left feet were webbed.
Yeah, that's just a little weird. What are they going to do? Swim in a circle? Making a left turn.
I mean,
left turn.
it is in northern Pennsylvania, and that's kind of where the Poconos are at.
Yeah.
Northern Pennsylvania.
And that's the thing. It's like I said, things change. They get added. Things get taken. Like, the description can change. It can be as simple as the color of their skin or their outfit or how big their horns are or what kind of webbing they have on their feet or if their nails are long.
Or if they look like a crescent roll.
They change and they evolve, so to speak. And it's funny to hear different generations talk about the same cryptids. Because, like I said, I can guarantee you the story that I can tell with the Tommyknockers is going to differ from the story that my grandfather can tell about the Tommyknockers. Like, things change over generations, and what makes it makes it fun to tell your kids.
Except for the Squonk.
No, the Squonk is even fun to tell the kids because you can tell them, hey, look, there's something uglier than your mom.
No.
No, it's the whole your mama jokes.
Yeah, I know.
Your mama's so ugly, they called her a Squonk. What?
But no, like, I like learning about weird things like this.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's fun.
All right.
I know.
So for each of our second cryptids, we are going international. So, what do you got? Where is it from? And why are you smiling the way that you are?
This one is called the Mongolian deathworm. And the reason I wanted to talk about this one is because it reminds me of the movie Tremors.
Okay.
Because
I have never seen Tremors, and it's not for like a lack of availability. It's a lack of caring. Like I don't mind like B-rated sci-fi movies. Like we saw one that shouldn't have been a B-rated, but I, Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Great movie. Loved it. Did not do well.
Yeah.
What was another, like, we saw another B-rated one.
I don't remember. We've seen a lot of B-rated movies.
I like B-rated movies because some of them are like,
they're kind of cool.
This
unique.
Should not be B-rated.
Yeah.
But for a lack of interest, like Legion.
Yeah.
B-rated movie.
Great movie.
There was another one that I watched. It was called Gabriel.
Yep. Great
B-rated movie. Great movie.
Okay.
But anyways.
The Mongolian deathworm is a creature alleged to exist in the Gobi Desert. Investigations into the legendary creature have been pursued by amateur cryptozoologists and credited academics alike, but there has been little evidence found to support its existence. It can be considered a cryptid or mythological animal. Tales of the creature first came to Western attention as a result of Roy Chapman Andrews' 1926 book on the Trail of Ancient Man. The American paleontologist described secondhand tales of the monster that he heard at a gathering of Mongolian officials. None of those present has ever seen the creature, but they all firmly believed in its existence and described it minutely. In 1983, a specimen of Tartar sand boa was shown to locals who claimed to have seen the Mongolian deathworm, and they confirmed that it was the same animal. These giant worms, or sand boas, or Mongolian deathworm as they call it, they get huge. I don't know if anybody has ever seen the movie Tremors, but
there's a lot of people who have seen Tremors. I mean, how many of them did they make?
Yeah.
They wouldn't keep making them like fucking Sharknado, which is dumb.
Yes. But it's like
popular enough that they're like, oh yeah, we could make money off of this.
But the movie Tremors was based loosely on the Mongolian deathworm, and it's because of the description that kind of made me chuckle, because these worms, they look like earthworms on the outside, the Mongolian deathworms do, and they have these giant mouths at the front of their body, and they do things to they're said to have caused great harm, as it was put, to the Mongolian troops or others in the area in the Gobi Desert, and they get huge. And in Tremors, the worms get huge, and they don't know if the reason they haven't seen it in more recent years is because it has evolved. Kind of like the evolution in Tremors, it starts out as the worm, and then it goes to the ass blasters where they fart fire, which, like I said, it's dumb, but it's hysterical. They propel themselves forward by they get into this shake, and then their butt starts shaking, and then they fart fire and they jump. It causes them to launch themselves.
Got rocket propelled.
Yeah, that's why they're called ass blasters. And then they evolve and get wings, and so they can fart fire. It's stupid, but it's hysterical. But it's based loosely on the Mongolian deathworm, and they don't know if the reason they haven't seen it in more recent years, like around this era, is because they've died off, or if they're still around but they've evolved into other creatures. So it's kind of funny to look at the picture of it, and I'll show you. But it quite literally looks like a giant earthworm. It's
that
pink.
Is terrifying.
Yeah, and it's like, what the fuck?
So there's another like reference to that in another form of media, and it just hear me out.
Talk about shit weasels?
No, hear me out.
Okay.
Shit weasels are from Dreamcatcher, a fantastic book by Stephen King. But that's aliens.
The movie is even great.
Anyways, no, hear me out. SpongeBob.
The fuck?
The Alaskan bullworm.
Are you talking about the one that Sandy ropes and rides?
Because it ate her tail?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
The Alaskan bullworm.
Why do I know that reference? That is like oh my god.
That is so.
Our oldest watched too much SpongeBob.
That is that looks like what they did in that episode, or what they were going up against in that episode.
That's kind of creepy, if you ask me. But yeah, these things, like, they don't know if it's just local to the Gobi Desert. They don't know if they've gotten to other continents. They don't know if those giant boas that are in the wild are relatives, ancestors, like
Alaskan bullworms.
they don't know if they've evolved and moved on. They don't know if they're just local to the Gobi Desert. They don't know a whole lot about this, and very few people have actually seen them. But that's a story that has passed down through generations, and books and movies and stuff like that
Kids' television shows.
Yeah, have been based or have touched on the subject of the Mongolian deathworm, gave it a different name, basically slapping a different face and a different sticker on it, and retelling the tale. So, like I said, these stories stay alive, and it's fun because you can look at things and look into it and research the Mongolian deathworm and see, okay, this is where it started, and then this movie came out, and it's kind of funny because going back around to Tremors, after the ass blasters gain wings and they can fly, they have this giant egg inside them, and when they die is when the egg hatches into a worm again. So it's kind of a full circle of evolution. Yeah. And yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about, okay, have these moved on? And questioning, have they moved on? Are they just specific to that area? Are they further west? Are they, in the water? Are they, what they've become is in question. And it's kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of cool to me to see the evolution of these different tales and these different cryptids and even the SCP stuff.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's some truth to all of these tales, whether it's just bits and pieces or if it's all of it, or there's a creature that is real that they based a story on. Like, it's kind of fun for me and for you to research these things. And, some of them we come across are downright terrifying, like this creepy ass worm. And then others are just like
a squonk.
Like, you've got that full scale of from squonk to Mongolian deathworm. How creepy is your cryptid?
In researching all of these things, right, one of the things that I did look into is vampires and stuff like that. And there are only 2 continents that I found, one of which is obvious because there ain't nobody living there except for research teams, being Antarctica. But there's one major continent where it's heavily populated that there are no references. They don't have their own version of vampires.
Yeah.
Do you know what that continent is? It's Africa.
Because God bless the rains down in Africa.
Yeah, that was the joke.
Yep.
So my international one comes to us from Chilean mythology. It is called the Alicanto. And it's actually really cool.
Yeah.
This one's a shorter one, so, bear with me while I may embellish a few things.
And I have another one after this.
I also found another one. But the Alicanto is a nocturnal mythological bird of the desert of Atacama, pertaining to the Chilean mythology. Legend says that the Alicanto's wings shine at night.
South America, just in case you guys are wondering, it's
Yes.
Chilean. It's in Chile.
Yes. The wings shine at night with beautiful metallic colors, and their eyes emit strange lights. The color of the wings may indicate what type of ore it eats: golden if it's from a gold mine, and silvery if it's from a silver mine. Some descriptions also portray the color of the wings as copper green. It says the bird runs on the ground and can't fly because of the weight of the ore it eats. This means that it runs faster if it hasn't eaten recently. According to legend, a miner that follows an alicanto without being noticed by the bird can find rich mineral outcrops or treasures such as an entierro. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Entierro.
Intero. It's actually intero.
But if the alicanto discovers that it's being followed, it will turn off the shining of its wings and scuttle away into the darkness of night. Also, if the miner is not of good heart, the alicanto will guide the miner off a cliff. Accordingly, the miner will not be able to see the cliff in time because of the intensity of the darkness. It is said that an alicanto guided Juan Godoy to the rich silver outcrops of, I'm going to mispronounce this name and I apologize, Chaniercio? Chanyaarcillo.
Okay.
On May 16th, 1832, sparking the Chilean Silver Rush. The account of the alicanto of folklorist Julio Vincuna Cifuentes is mentioned in the Book of Imaginary Beings in the chapter Fauna of Chile.
Okay.
So again, it's right along that Tommyknocker thing where it has to do with minds. And if you're good and if you can be sneaky, you can find, ores and other like profitable things.
Yeah.
But if you're a dick, it'll lead you off a cliff.
That's hysterical.
But like it seems like each culture has its own version of if you're good of heart in whatever, and you're working in whatever field that you are, good things will happen to you. But if you're not, then death awaits.
Death awaits you.
But something to that extent, that's why, like, it's so interesting to see different areas of the world having their own little thing, but it all sounds, or it's all like similar.
Yeah.
Right? So like with your Tommyknockers, if you're a good person and you are kind and stuff, they'll lead you to, like, you can get diamonds or extra gold or whatever. Yeah. With the alicanto, it's like if you're a good person and you're sneaky, you can find, and if you follow this bird, you'll find, rich mineral, like material, like a good outcropping of something rare.
Yeah.
But if you're a dick, you get trapped and killed because of suffocation, or you just get let off a cliff.
Right.
Like a lemming, you know. But stuff like that, it's always interesting to see and to hear about and to learn about. So it's like, and then you have, once again, then you have the squonk.
Yeah.
I'm not over this, because it's like, come on, fucking really?
Right. I don't know. It's like I said, it's kind of funny, you gauge how scary or how stupid or how funny each of these cryptids are, and you kind of go back and look at the list, because I found the list of the most well-known cryptids and Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, that type of stuff, and I'm just like,
did you know America has their own Loch Ness?
Yeah.
It's I believe in Lake Michigan.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to look at the list of them and you're like, that is so dumb.
Yep.
So,
all right. You said you had a third.
Yes, I do.
What is your third?
It's another one from the U.S. My phone's got to catch up.
Is it a creepy cryptid? Is it a stupid cryptid? Is it...
It's kind of a creepy cryptid, but it's kind of funny at the same time because monkeys exist.
Right.
So this is a devil monkey.
Okay.
So type is hairy humanoid. First sighting is unknown. Last sighting is in the 20th century. Habitat is in remote forests of the U.S. and possible population small. Says there have been reports of devil monkeys, which are large baboon-like primates that are now being spotted in the wooded areas near Flagstaff. The eyewitness said that she noticed her dog.
Arizona?
Noticed her dog was acting very agitated and scared when they were on their hike through Mount Eldon Forest Trail, when she noticed a small group of primitive-looking creatures scurrying through the rocks. She described them as 4 to 5 feet tall, very quick and agile. These creatures are called devil monkeys. In other parts of the United States, there have also been sightings in other states such as New Mexico, Utah, and Colorado. Unique species of monkeys have been described as being 3 to 4 feet tall, although some eyewitnesses have sworn these furry friends can reach a height in excess of 7 feet. It seems clear, however, that those who have encountered with this larger version of the beast are actually describing a run-in with a prototypical hairy humanoid and not the smaller, more primate-like devil monkey. Unlike the legendary gorilla-like Bigfoot or Yeti, these creatures, which have been seen throughout South and Midwest as far as north as Alaska, have been described as shaggy, canine-faced, baboon-like creatures with powerful, almost kangaroo-like legs, a trait they share with South America's notorious goat sucker, the chupacabra. Other distinguishing traits that the devil monkeys have said to bear include 3-toed, razor-clawed feet, tiny pointed ears, and a long, often bushy tail, not unlike legends of the Rougarou of the South, werewolves, or the infamous Derrida roadkill. The first reported encounter with this swift, dangerous predator occurred in 1934 in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee. According to the reports, which were allegedly published in national newspapers, eyewitnesses described a mysterious beast that could leap across fields with lightning speed. This ability to jump great distances, up to 20 feet, according to some accounts, have led some to speculate that these animals may have something in common with the kangaroos that have been seen throughout the U.S. for decades. The suggestion is that those who think they're seeing kangaroos from a distance are in fact seeing devil monkeys. While these 1934 encounters may not have been associated with the phenomenon, the first official devil monkey sighting occurred in 1959, while a couple with the last name Boyd were driving through the mountains near their home in Saltville, Virginia. According to their account, an ape-like beast attacked their car, leaving 3 scratch marks on their vehicle. The Boyd's daughter, Pauline, described the terrifying attacker. It had light, taffy-colored hair with white blaze down its neck and underbelly. It stood on 2 large, well-muscled back legs that had shorter front legs or arms. I have a big head and little arms. This plan wasn't thought through very well. Boyd went on to describe a second devil monkey encounter that occurred just days later in the same area. Several days after this incident, 2 nurses from the Saltville area were driving home from work one morning and were attacked by an unknown creature who ripped the Corvette convertible top off of their car. Luckily, the nurses, though they were frightened out of their wits, were unharmed. In 1969, a mysterious ape researcher, John Green, looked into accounts of long-tailed monkey beasts that eyewitnesses claimed was lurking near Marquam, British Columbia. This creature was said to have left a series of distinctive 3-toed tracks, much like those attributed to devil monkeys, as well as the legendary Bigfoot in its wake. In 1973, famed cryptozoologist and author Lauren Coleman investigated reports of 3 black bushy-tailed giant monkeys that were said to have slaughtered livestock in Albany, Kentucky. Coleman mentioned in the event in an interview with Animal Planet, So this is pretty well known and very big.
Right.
I investigated that case in depth. I interviewed the people who were very sincere. In the whole context of the devil monkey reports, it seemed extremely sincere. You have these reports of hairy monkey-like creatures with tails very different from Bigfoot. In 1979, there was a spattering of reported encounters with the bipedal monkey-like critter known as the Bigfoot, which hailed from the rural depths of Georgia. So the most recent encounter is January 12th, 2006. An anonymous witness claimed he and his family entered the Chicago home to discover what he asserted was a devil-like creature violently attacking his 6-year-old Labrador. The man further described the beast as being an unusual combination of monkey, wolf, and devil with long fangs, monkey-like tail, and extremely bright glowing eyes. Surprisingly, this fellow, unlike so many others who were taken aback by their first encounter with the violent cryptid, claimed that he remained calm enough to grab a nearby camera and snap a photo of the allegedly diabolical fiend. It was after the flashbulbs burst this creature purportedly sprang to its hind legs and ran, nearly pushing over this guy and his family in an effort to escape through the open door behind them. This unnamed observer also claimed that his neighborhood had been plagued with numerous reports of missing pets, and even went as far as to state that there was an additional yet wholly unsubstantiated account of yet another individual seeing identical beasts hanging from a local tree by its tail. So yeah, it goes on into a bunch of different sightings and what they look like, but a lot of them are pretty similar or are damn near exact in their description, maybe a difference in color or the size. But it was also in like entertainment. And it says Devil Monkey was featured as the main monster of season 3, episode 5 for Lost Tapes. The Devil Monkey was also featured in another show called These Woods Are Haunted. Like, there's a bunch of different things that people have, they go after livestock, pets. They're not known to kill humans. They just scare the shit out of you.
Right.
And this is, I'm showing Winged a picture, and it literally looks like one of the blue-butted baboons.
Yeah.
But it's huge and has kangaroo-like back legs. Can you imagine driving down the road near a forest and that creature comes out and fucks your shit up?
I'm hitting them with my car.
The nurses hit it, and it tore the roof off the convertible and ran.
I'm chasing after it to hit it with my car.
Like, the fuck? It's like in foresty areas like national parks and stuff like that. Can you imagine the conservatory that's going to open up for the Denver Zoo, and this thing is sighted near there?
That is why I don't go into the woods.
The woods are great.
There are things in the woods that don't like people like me.
I would love to take you up to Rocky Mountain National Park. You would thoroughly enjoy it.
You know where there is very little of these fucking things?
In the middle of the city.
In the middle of the ocean.
We don't know.
No, these furry fucking things.
Oh, we don't know. We don't know if they can swim. We don't know if they've evolved somehow. and plus, the ocean ain't safe either.
Well,
Some
I'm
of the
aware.
cryptids, the giant squid, they have little unmanned subs or manned subs that get crushed like a tuna can. I mean, too soon? Billionaires that get crushed. No, like they have unmanned like drones and subs that go down to the depths that humans can't go because of the extreme pressures. And they've gotten pictures of these huge squid that are bigger than a submarine.
Yeah, you want to know what...
Hell no is what that's called.
You know what eats those? Sperm whales. Dead serious.
Yeah, that's kind of creepy.
So
Could you imagine coming across these fucking creatures in the ocean? I mean, some of the cryptids in the ocean. Could you imagine coming across the Mongolian death worm in the ocean? The fuck are you doing swimming across the ocean?
Anyways,
See old chicken cross the road.
My final one is also native to the United States. And it's weird. It's a weird one. It is from the neighboring state of Ohio.
Okay.
Neighbor to the Squonk. This one...
Is it a squeak?
No. This one is called the Loveland Frog. In Ohio folklore, the Loveland Frog is a legendary humanoid frog described as standing roughly 4 feet tall, allegedly spotted in Loveland, Ohio. In 1972, the Loveland Frog legend gained renewed attention when a Loveland police officer reported to a colleague that he had seen an animal consistent with descriptions of the frogman. After a reported sighting in 2016, the second officer called a news station to report that he had shot and killed the same creature some weeks after the 1972 incident and had identified it as a large iguana that was missing its tail.
That is so weird.
So, according to various legends, the creature was first sighted by a businessman or a traveling salesman driving along an unnamed road late at night in 1955, with some versions of the story specifying the month of May. In one story, the driver was heading out of the Branch Hill neighborhood when he spotted 3 figures stood erect on their hind legs along the side of the road, each 3 to 4 feet in height, with leathery skin and frog faces. In other versions of the story, the creatures were spotted under or over a poorly lit bridge, and one held a wand over its head that fired a ray of sparks.
Wingardium Leviosa.
On March 3rd, 1972, at 1 a.m., Loveland police officer Ray Shockey was driving on Riverside Drive near the Totes Boot Factory and the Little Miami River when an unidentified animal scurried across the road in front of his vehicle. The animal was fully illuminated in his vehicle headlights, and he described it as 3 to 4 feet long and about 50 to 75 pounds with leathery skin. He reported spotting the animal crouched like a frog before it momentarily stood erect to climb over the guardrail and back toward the river. That's
kind of weird.
Yeah, these are the reports for these guys are recent or more recent. Although there's a commemoration for this thing. In 2023, the Loveland Frog became the city's mascot. The frog, dressed as a frog prince, debuted at the city's second annual Hearts of Fire weekend celebration and appears at other city events. So apparently, they didn't have anything better to do as well, and they decided, like Johnstown, to celebrate this thing.
Yeah.
So, once again, do I believe that all of these are true? No. But they're interesting. And there's a little bit of truth behind some of these.
And some of them are just downright hysterical.
Squonk.
But
I think...
too funny.
I think that does it for this episode.
Ooh, Pookie.
Squonk. Anyways, thank y'all so much for listening.
Squonk.
We really do appreciate it. If you are listening to us on Spotify and you would like to show Spotify that you like what you're hearing and you want to hear more, hit the download button. It lets them know and it lets us know. And then we continue to do, make great episodes or halfway decent episodes.
Great episodes. That's what I vote.
If you would like to donate to the show, there is a link in the description. We're not saying you have to, but if you do, just know every little bit that comes in goes right back into the show. We want to make the show better and better for you guys, and that's one way of doing it. But as always, thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to love each other, and as always,
don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
You might get eaten by a squonk.
Squonk.